Bob's Breakfast.
Let's get the latest news. Chris Hubbard.
There's several places you shouldn't put your hands, one of which is down the loo, because firefighters...
I'm glad you said that, because I was a little bit worried, but okay, thank you.
Firefighters have had to free a woman.
There are 2 reasons why you shouldn't put your hand down the loo.
Okay, go on.
Number 1 and number 2.
They just write themselves, don't they?
Okay, right. So a lady put her hand down the carsey. Why?
Well, she decided that she wanted to unblock her toilet. The toilet had got blocked.
With her hand?
Yeah, I know.
You don't know what you're going to grab.
Well, quite. Especially she'd just moved house.
Right.
So, deciding...
She knew there was a danger, but she put her hand down there anyway.
Absolutely.
Undeterred.
Because she didn't have a plunger.
Okay.
She made the decision to carry this out. However, she did run into problems when her watch got stuck in the toilet basin. So she'd still got her watch on. Surely, if you were doing this, you'd remove any sort of jewellery.
And surely, don't you wear your watch on your non-dominant hand? So if you're right-handed, you wear your watch on your left hand for that very reason, because you're more likely to put your right hand in places that could damage your watch than your left hand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So, bearing in mind she'd still got her watch on, she went down straight into the toilet, stuck her hand around the U-bend. The watch got stuck on this, leaving it absolutely stuck. So her hand was in there, kind of just around the corner.
Right.
She got no choice but to call firefighters. Fortunately, she got her phone handy, because that could have been a long wait before maybe somebody needed to use the loo and came in, for that matter.
So she managed to phone with the other hand.
Yeah.
And phoned the fire brigade.
Fire brigade had to remove the toilet, carry the toilet.
She didn't call a plumber?
No, she called the fire brigade to try and get her out.
Oh, of course, because firemen are more exciting to have in your bathroom than plumbers, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay.
And they don't charge you either.
Ah, yes.
That's probably something to do with it. But basically, they had to uncouple the toilet from all the plumbing, carry the toilet downstairs into her back garden. She was still attached at this point.
Yeah.
And then she eventually managed to free her by smashing the toilet. So that's the way they dealt with it. I mean, the neighbours were treated to quite a show as fire crews worked to free her from this.
Yes.
And eventually they smashed it in bits and she was freed at the time. She's been uninjured by the ordeal, fortunately.
Right.
And she's put a video of it online as well.
Has she?
Yeah.
She's a bit of an attention seeker.
Yeah,
she wants a fire brigade in her bathroom and she went, I don't know.
No, it's been viewed thousands of times now. She doesn't look comfortable. Let's put it that way.
Reminds me of that old joke about the lady who sits on the toilet. I can't remember how the joke. Somehow, is it super glue on the toilet seat or something? And she sits and she gets stuck on the toilet seat.
Right.
So she shouts for her husband, and he comes and he checks it out, and he brings a set of spanners, and he undoes the toilet seat, and he takes her to the doctor's with the toilet seat still stuck on there. And he says to the doctor, "Have you ever seen anything like that, doctor, before?" And he said, "Oh, yes, but never framed." Good morning, Carolina.
Good morning, Graham. I know that we don't talk to each other.
We do talk to each other from time to time,
no,
yes.
I'm not talking to you, basically.
You're not talking to me?
It's my birthday today.
Your birthday?
Yes, I would like to say about my favourite sound.
Okay. What's your favourite sound, first of all?
Well, my favourite sound is a freshly opened bottle of wine.
Oh,
and first pour into the glass. That's the best sound ever.
You like that? You like that sound? You like it because you're an alcoholic. Okay. How old are you?
You don't know how old I am. You know exactly.
Are you 39?
No, I'm 36 today.
36. But you're still looking for a fella?
Yes, of course, always.
Yes, yeah. And you're keeping yourself in shape? You're still looking good for the gents? It's Carolina's birthday. She likes a glass of wine. It's Carolina's birthday. Desperate and dateless but looking fine. I'm glad it's your birthday. Happy Happy birthday to you. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36 today! Yeah! Yes, we're going to a party, party. Yes, we're going to a party, party. Yes, we're going to a birthday party, yeah.
Bob's Breakfast.
Chris brought us an amazing story from Worcester Cathedral of a bell ringer who got his heel caught in the rope and the rope winched him up into the bell tower. He had to get the fire brigade to lower him down 80 feet. Bonzi's on the phone. Morning, Bonzi.
Yeah, just listen to about the old bell ringer here. But apparently this happens quite a lot.
Oh, really?
All the time.
All the time! All the time!
Hello.
Goodness me. Let's ring him back. Bonzi, see if I can get him back on the phone.
Hello?
Bonzi, I heard that one fella got caught in the rope and it fired him up so far into the bell tower that he actually smacked into the bell with the front of his head.
Let me guess.
Go on then, finish it.
Go on. He ended up in hospital and the police and everything came as well and they all checked him out and, you know, his face don't ring a bell. Old ones are the best, aren't they?
Yeah, but do you know what else happened?
Go on.
Do you know what else happened? His twin brother, his identical twin brother, he took over from him while he was sick, but he wasn't very experienced at it. Same thing happened to him, and he died.
Go on.
And he ended up falling to the bottom of the bell tower, and one bloke looks at him and goes, "That's the second time that's happened." And he says, "Oh, isn't it the same fella?" He says, "No, but he's a dead ringer for the other."
Get off.
Morning, Piper.
I've got a good complaining story for you.
Oh, what happened?
It was my husband.
Yeah.
When he was a student, he and his mates, they all went out for quite a boozy meal down in Southampton. And, sort of caroused until the early hours. And anyway, what they did the next day was they rang the restaurant and to complain about the noisy students who were making a racket, i.e. them.
They called up and complained about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got a free meal.
My name is Pat Davis.
How are you, Pat?
I'm fine. Did you get my message?
Well, how did you send the message to me?
By telephone.
Oh, I see. It's an answer phone message, is it?
No, I sent a message. I rang your number.
Yes, this number?
And your number, yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I rang you on 01438 422 106.
That's my number.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
I have protested several times about the weather maps on television.
Right, okay.
I live in Hertford. They never show Hertford.
They don't?
They show Ware.
Yes.
They show Luton.
Yes.
They sometimes show Harlow.
Yes.
But they never show Hertford.
Let me just check. Hold on a second. Let me just check our weather map here.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right. Hertford is missing from our map. Yes.
Well, I'm here.
Yes, are you?
I'm certainly not missing.
No, you're not. You're definitely not missing. What was your name again?
Well, it was Mrs. Pat Davies.
Mrs. Pat Davies. Mrs. Pat Davies.
Davies.
Whereabouts are you in Hertford?
Nearly in the middle.
Okay, I'm writing you in now. Mrs. Pat Davies, right in the middle of where Hertford should be on our weather map.
Would you like my telephone number?
No, thank you. I don't think we should put that on there. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want my address? Do you want my postcode?
No, I'm fine. I think just having your name there where Hertford should be should do the trick.
Well, everybody knows me in Hertford.
Yes, do they?
I was born here in 1940.
Yes.
And only missed being killed because Hitler couldn't aim straight.
Right. He's a bit.
You get my meaning?
Yes, maybe he bought his weapons from the same place that Theresa May got our latest nukes.
I have no idea.
Yes, because we've had a problem with those as well. All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Pat.
Mrs. Pat Davies.
That's
please.
right, Mrs. Pat Davies.
Actually an M.A.
What's that?
Master of Arts.
Are you really? What arts are you master of?
Conservation policy.
I didn't realise that was an art. How about that? I would have
is.
thought sculpture would have been more your speed.
Well,
but there you go.
No. I'm an art, an artist, so to speak.
Yes.
I'm conservation policy. I graduated from Middlesex Poly, but it's now called Middlesex University.
That's fantastic. Mrs. Pat Davis, it's been a pleasure talking to you, but I have to conserve some time right now, so I have to go. All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Bob.
Now, tossing coins into a fountain for luck is a popular superstition. You see it very regularly if you go on holiday to the West Country, where they still have wishing wells.
Yes.
But a similar belief actually brought a bit of misery to a sea turtle in Thailand, for whom doctors have taken out 915 coins out of this sea turtle.
Ah.
So people have been throwing coins into this wishing well, and the turtle have been snacking on them. The turtle lived in this wishing well.
Oh, I see. But it was a sea turtle.
It was a sea turtle.
Was the well connected to the ocean somehow? You know?
It was kind of a well/pool.
I see,
so
right, yeah.
Yeah, and the seawater was in there.
Human beings are stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, the trouble is, we have, like, big brains and advanced intelligence, but we take it too far. We believe in goofy stuff like throwing a coin in a fountain will bring you luck. Like, other goofy stuff like, all religions. It's just complete nonsense. It's just made up nonsense because we were given the power of imagination. But we can't imagine a better world where sea turtles aren't choking on our crap.
Have you ever had a problem neighbour? Somebody who really got on your nerves?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
The neighbours made an Ofcom complaint about me.
Your neighbours made a complaint to Ofcom?
Yeah, my next door neighbour.
How did that work?
Well, I used to do this whole bit when I was at TFM in the Northeast. Actually, this Ofcom complaint still hasn't been resolved. They're still working it out.
Still hanging over you?
Yeah, I used to go on about how I was the only normal one in the street. And I used to... I didn't identify the neighbours, but I used to give them names.
Yeah.
Like the people over the road were the Volkswagens, because they had a fleet of them.
Yeah.
And then next door to them were the door slammers, for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Next door to me on the left were the bizarros, because they did everything round the wrong way in a bizarro world. Like she used to do the ironing outside on an extension lead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I used to think, well, if they do the ironing outside... instead of inside, what else do they do the other way round? I mean, do they sit on their food and eat with their bums? The bizarros. And next door on the other side was the Unabomber. He had like a hooded top and sunglasses, and you never knew what he was up to. And I used to say that he had a doomsday machine that had gone critical, and, Anyway, the Unabomber moves out.
Yeah.
And the new people move in, and they've got a truck and a junkyard dog. So I used to say they're the Beverly Hillbillies, the Clampets.
And these were the ones who were listening?
Yeah. I used to say they're rednecks, and I used to say they've got quite a display of used kitchen appliances on their front lawn and, tyre swans. And they didn't have any of that. I made it all up.
Okay.
Right, they had a truck.
Yeah.
And a dog. But anyway, she comes knocking on the door it's one Saturday. I'm upstairs. And Julie makes the mistake. The woman comes to the door, and Julie shouts up the stairs to me, Graham, Mrs. Clampett wants to talk to you.
First mistake right
First
there.
mistake. So I go down and talk to her, and she's complaining about what I've been saying about them on the radio. And I've said, no one knows it's you. How do you know it's even you? No one knows where I live. And anyway, look, you haven't got tyre swans or used kitchen appliances on your front lawn. Oh, we've got a truck, though, and a dog. So anyway, her husband turns up. And he says, we haven't got rednecks. And And I said, well, look, if it bothers you, I'm not going to mention it again. I'm not going to mention it again. Not once. And I never mentioned the whole bit, never mentioned any of the other neighbours. I just stopped. Someone's going to be funny, just stopped. And he said, we won't be taking it any further. And that was the Saturday. On the Monday, I'm dragged into the office. There's an Ofcom complaint gone in. I said, what kind of people do that? You're upset and I've stopped. Well, what do you want now? Blood? I think they did. And then a few nights later, he was, in the middle of the night, was digging a hole in the garden. And I never saw that dog again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he sold the truck.
Did he?
Yes. He sold the truck and he killed the dog and buried it. And he sold the truck. And I'm pretty sure when he sold it to the fella, he spat on his hand before he shook his hand. I mean, it was... And anyway, that complaint's still not been resolved. It is still an ongoing thing. It was
all these years
privacy
later.
Complaint or something, yeah. So the Queen is going to Whipsnade Zoo today.
She is. She's off to the zoo.
A baby elephant that's been named after her.
Yes, that's right. She's going to meet this elephant.
That sounds kind of apt. Because, you know... They do have a lot in common.
Go on.
Well, the elephant is part of a captive breeding program.
Yes.
And they both live in an artificial environment where tourists wave at them and take their picture. Chris brought us a story of a kid who wrote a note to his parents, pretending the note was from the school, saying he needed to stay up later playing video games. When have you been left a note? Or what's your story of a note you've left? Jane?
I once had a little note left on my car windscreen.
Oh, what did it say?
It was in a little plastic bag stuck to the windscreen, and it said, you owe us 60 quid, you shouldn't have parked here.
Right, bribery and corruption from a parking ninja.
Well, it was actually a proper parking tickets thing job, and I think...
Where had you parked?
I was going to the hospital, and I was in a rush because my dad was very ill.
Right, you see, this is classic.
Yeah.
This is, you know, you're not the kind of person that should be getting parking tickets are the kind of person who habitually parks outside a fire station. The kind of person that blocks traffic. Not the kind of person... What kind of parking... How bad was your parking?
Oh, the thing is, I had to get there quick.
Yeah.
And on one side of the road, where I'd been parking in all my visits before, there were the signs that said, 2 hours parking, then that's fine.
Yeah.
On the other side, and there were no spaces, and this was like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So on the other side of the road, I just had a quick look. There was a space, and there was a sign of the same shape and the same layout.
Yes.
I didn't read it.
Yes, different.
It actually said permit holders only.
Yeah, that's how they get you. That should be a different coloured sign.
And in actual fact, it was a while ago now, and I have kind of, I'm not like to burst into tears, but Dad died.
Oh my goodness.
And it was that hospital visit, and Dad actually died.
Yeah.
And when I came out, obviously, seeing a parking ticket wasn't the best thing ever.
No.
But it was issued at the exact moment Dad died.
Oh, really?
Minute.
Oh, really?
Isn't that bizarre?
That just shows you that traffic wardens are actually in league with the devil.
Spawn of Satan, that's what they are.
There's your absolute conclusive proof.
I mean, and I actually have never met a traffic warden.
They're like ninjas. They just appear for that. You can park, you can look around, you can see one from. They're just experts at hiding. They're behind hedges and lampposts and everything.
I think the council lock them up at night.
Yes.
And then activate them in the morning.
Mm.
And then download the information and then lock them back up again.
I think it's either that or there's some kind of shapeshifter and they turn into a lamppost or a bit of street furniture or a park bench, and then once you've parked and walked off, then they suddenly become human.
I wonder how many of them lie about their job when they meet you, out in the pub and things like that, if they're left out of their cupboard.
Or when they're trying to chat someone up. So what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm in law enforcement.
or I work with cars.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
did wonder if it was Dad having the last laugh.
Oh, could have been.
Yeah, because it was our family have very black humour. Very black humour.
Right.
And we were all around the bed. It was really tense.
Oh.
And I rushed in and I said, oh, for goodness sake, Dad, I've got 2 hours on the car.
You didn't say
that.
that.
I have to do this within 2 hours.
You didn't say that. You didn't.
Yeah. And I did think that was Dad saying gotcha.
Thank you very much for sharing, Jane.
It's no pleasure. Have a it is a pleasure. It's no worry.
I know what you meant. That was a Freudian slip. I know what you meant.
Yes, the day can only get better. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, Jane.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Bob.
There's a warning: a social media craze for clean eating could leave a generation with fragile bones. The National Osteoporosis Society says a fifth of 18 to 35-year-olds have cut or significantly reduced dairy in their diet, which is an important source of calcium.
So now we're not eating enough. Most days we're eating too much.
Yeah.
Now we're not eating enough. There's a worrying trend that young people are not eating dairy products.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it?
Well, if you listen to some scientists, we're eating too much and it's too fatty for us.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, people who are wanting this clean living diet.
It's funny out, though, when it's one of these things where we're not eating enough. Like, we've got to have, is it like 12 portions of fruit now? I can't remember how many. It went up from 5 a day.
It keeps going up and down.
Right. So when we're not eating enough, so we're not eating enough fruit, or we're not eating enough dairy, or we're not eating enough omega, or whatever the hell it is, it's our fault. It's always our fault. But when we're eating too much, it's never our fault. It's because fast food packaging doesn't have the ingredients on it. It's because there are junk food adverts on the telly. Wait, what are the other things we've had because we're fat?
The supermarkets are putting the unhealthy food in the wrong place near the checkout.
It's the supermarket's 2-for-1 deals.
Yes, that's
My favourite was, this was a few weeks back, it's because your doctor's fat. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that
They
one.
said that GPs should need to be encouraged to lose weight.
Yes, that's right.
Because they're not a good example to their patients.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why you're fat is because your doctor's fat. It's weird. Every time we're eating too much, it's never our fault. It's something else. But when we're not eating enough of something, it's all our fault. What's going on? Oh, cyclists. These people who have a mental illness. Cyclists who do this dangerous thing on our roads and then blame everybody else on the roads but them. They're the only people that do something dangerous. It's like a skydiver blaming the plane. A report by Sky News this morning. It's going to cost lives, this. It says that people who cycle to work reduce the risk of cancer and heart disease by almost a half. Sky News have regurgitated figures from a study that says people who cycle for their commute to work have a 46% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and a 45% lower risk of developing cancer than people who drive to work or take public transport. Now, I'm sure these figures are correct, but Sky hasn't mentioned that the kind of people who usually cycle to work are fitness freaks. They've got healthy lifestyles and diets as well. It's not just the cycling. You can't take a fat smoker, stick them on a push bike and expect them to suddenly get magically healthy. They haven't balanced the figures either, with the number of cyclists killed on our roads every year. Department of Transport figures show that cyclists are more than 17 times more likely to be killed on the road than motorists. For every 1 billion miles travelled on UK roads, 35 cyclists are killed in collisions, compared with just 2 motorists. Those stats again, 35 to 2. And cyclists are more than 23 times more likely to be involved in a crash than motorists. 6,588 cyclists are injured per billion miles travelled compared to just 288 car users. That gap once again, 6,588 versus 286. Without balance, this Sky News report is fake news. It's suggesting that cycling on a public highway is actually a healthy thing to do. that's dangerous because it might actually encourage people to ride bikes on public roads. And that's the last thing we want to happen. Cycling propaganda is everywhere. Governments and health organisations are constantly touting the health benefits of cycling while they ignore the fact that more than 100 people are killed on push bikes in Britain every year and thousands are seriously injured. There isn't a single news organisation in this country that is anti-cycling. So the truth about riding bikes on the road is being censored. The only thing left for us to do is every time we see a cyclist on the road, we should wind down the window and shout at them. We should beg them to stop this dangerous behaviour. It's the only way we're going to save lives. Lives that could be saved if Sky News and the other media outlets actually told the truth. How would you like to be at the biggest awards there are, the biggest gig there is? It's awards season. Last night we had the BAFTAs. We also had the Grammys. We've had the Golden Globes, the Oscars still to come. But the big one, a week on Wednesday, the Brit Awards. And you could be there. It's not just an award show. It's a gig. The biggest names in the music business right now will be performing. And you could see them. I need to know about the gig you didn't get to. Whatever the reason was. Was it a public transport drama? Was it a mix-up over the tickets or the dates or whatever it is and you've regretted it for the rest of your life? The gig you never got to. I'll make up for it by getting you to the biggest gig there is, the Brit Awards 2017 at the O2. All you got to do is fill in the form, BOBfm.co.uk. Now, Karen did that. Tell me about this gig you never got to, Karen.
I started going out with this guy, and we were both big fans of Wham.
Right.
And I used to live in a flat in Panganga, and he come round to meet me, and we were going over to his house on my moped.
On your moped?
Yeah, it's like a moped I had then.
Yeah. So you were going round to see him on your moped?
Yeah. I was got to a roundabout, and a car pulled out in front of me, and it was a bit wet, so I sort of broke quite hard, and I fell off the moped, but he was following me in a car. Right. So as I went to get up and turn around and start laughing, I just got this thud, and he'd run me over.
Your boyfriend ran you over?
Yes. So an ambulance was called, and obviously I was taken down to the QE2. No sort of serious injuries, but I came out on crutches. And on the Saturday, we were supposed to be going to see Wham, and obviously I couldn't go. So
you couldn't go because you were badly hurt then?
I was on crutches. I couldn't sort of put my foot down, and I was just really sore. So my now husband went with my sister and her boyfriend.
No!
And he thought it'd be really nice to buy me a pair of flip-flops.
Flip-flops? Well, I suppose you couldn't wear shoes if your feet were bad. No. Yeah. So he got to go to the gig with your sister and her boyfriend, and you got flip-flops.
And yes, and I had to stay at home with my mum.
Oh, that's terrible. All right, well, Karen, I'm going to put you into the draw to win tickets to the Brits.
Oh, thank you very much.
Good luck. The gig is a week on Wednesday. I hope I draw your name out, but it is a draw, but you are in the draw.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Karen. Thanks for telling me your story. Thank you. Of the gig you never got to. What's the gig you never got to? You got a story like that or better than that? that'll get you into the draw. Fill in the form now in the Brits section in the breakfast bit at bobfm.co.uk.
This is Bob.
Britain's tech-savvy iPhone generation, as they're being called, may know what a dongle is, may know how to use an iPhone and even create an app, but are clueless when it comes to changing a light bulb. According to a survey, under 35s lack basic DIY skills, so...
They can change a light bulb. Well, that's an exaggeration, isn't it? Surely
Well,
they can change a light bulb.
I know somebody who got a man in to go and change a light bulb for them.
Was there somebody... female?
No.
Oh!
No,
you
it was a bloke.
You see, I've gone on about this before. We're witnessing the end of the human race. Not only are more female babies being born than males, but the young males are not masculine. Every generation is more feminine than the next. Admit it, Chris, your dad was more masculine than you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He could build things out of bricks and breeze blocks.
My dad built a garage out of bricks,
Yeah.
and he was a plumber. So, and I bet his dad was more masculine than him. Because his dad fought in the First World War.
Yeah, well, my granddad fought in the Second World War and worked down a mine.
Yeah, so each generation of male is becoming more and more metrosexual. And we're starting to... And, you've got people like girly man David Beckham. He tried to get lots of tattoos to look hard, but he's still a girly man. And these metrosexuals... Women love them, but they don't realise, no, sometimes you need a bloke. In a time of crisis, somebody has to change that wheel. Somebody has to change that light bulb.
Somebody has to bleed a radiator. That's really satisfying, though.
Yeah, rewire a fuse, or these days even just reset a circuit breaker. That's beyond them. Finding the fuse box, beyond them. It all changed when men started calling shirts tops. It's not a top, it's a shirt. It's not a top, it's a jersey. It's not a top, it's a sweater or a pullover. It's never a top. Tops are girls' clothes. It's never a top, ever. It's a t-shirt, it's not a top.
Well, according to this research, 8 in 10 young women expect their partner to be a decent DIYer and be able to do these things.
Yes, ladies, look what you're doing by being attracted to these metrosexuals and breeding with them. You're creating even more metrosexuals. You need to seek out the real men who will be there for you in a time of crisis. And when you go into the bathroom, they haven't stolen your hair straighteners or your goop. Good morning, Chris. What can I do for you?
Just to agree with you about Cyclists.
Yes.
Also, I heard the guy that was interviewed in the report this morning.
On Sky,
saying, yeah, how much health he felt breathing all that fresh air. Well, surely if he's riding on the roads, he's breathing all the diesel fumes that are going past him.
I know, at the moment, the government are trying to ban diesel cars because they're saying it makes the air poisonous. How can the same news organisations then run a report that says sucking it all up while heavy breathing because you're riding a push bike in it is good for you? Make your mind up. It's one or the other. It can't be both.
That's right. He also said that he felt invigorated when he got to work. Well, surely he'd be all hot and sweaty and in need of a shower.
Yeah, who wants to sit next to him? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cyclists.
Especially if he's wearing lycra.
Oh, yeah. And it's always blokes who never... Well, nobody looks good in lycra anyway, let's face it. It's always people who shouldn't be wearing lycra. There is something wrong with them. People who get on push bikes and ride them on public roads have a mental illness.
I couldn't agree more.
Right now, on the radio in Britain, if I want to talk about politics, I have to be impartial, balanced, and fair. A general election has been called in Britain for June the 8th. That means right now, all broadcasters here have to follow strict rules because we're in a period called purdah, which is spelt P-U-R-D-A-H. I looked up the word purdah to get a definition, and the definition I got was a state of seclusion or secrecy. Does that sound like the kind of thing we should be subjected to during a free election in a supposed free country? A state of seclusion and secrecy? What it means is, this purdah, is that broadcasters are forbidden from helping our listeners decide who to vote for. We are not allowed to help. It's censorship. Purdah means if a politician is talking out of his bum or her bum, if a politician is lying, I'm not allowed to point that out. I have no political allegiance. I don't have a dog in this fight. I have nothing to gain if one side wins over another. Nothing. But I am silenced. Yet the people who have something to gain can say whatever they like, and I am not allowed to challenge them. All purdah means is that it's easier for politicians to con people. In a free country? How is that impartial, balanced, or fair? Every day we hear how the NHS is at breaking point, it's in crisis. Yet people continue to get stuff on the NHS that isn't about life-saving. Like, people get nicotine patches on the NHS. People get fertility treatment paid for by our tax money. And boob jobs. I mean, if your self-esteem is so low because your boobs aren't big enough, what's wrong with you having to pay for it? I've got no objection to you having a boob job, but why do I have to pay for it? Same deal with gastric bands. I don't get it. Leslie, tell me about your relative.
She was 37 stone.
Right.
And she had a gastric band fitted.
Right. On the NHS? Did we pay for it? Yeah.
And she also got permission to have the excess flesh removed.
Okay, right. And that was paid for by the NHS as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. However, she lost, she went right down to 16 stone. She did so well.
Yeah.
And then they pulled the plug on the operation.
What do you mean they pulled the plug on the operation?
They said that she had to lose another 6 stone.
Yes.
Before they would operate.
Oh, to remove the excess skin?
Yes.
So they'd had the gastric band, but not the skin, right? Okay, yeah.
Yes, but then...
Well, actually, they didn't say she couldn't have it. They said they wouldn't pay for it. She could still have it if she paid for it herself.
Well, probably, yes, but she's not in a position to do that. And it makes her fall over.
The extra fat, right.
Yeah, it makes her fall over.
Well, then she should, when you say she's not in a position to do that, if that's the most important thing in her life, she must be spending money on something. Stop spending the money on whatever it is and and save up and have the operation.
Well, yeah, there is that to it. But she can't work because her joints are all preventing her from bending and moving about naturally.
So what work does she do? Is she a scaffolder or something?
No.
Can she answer the telephone?
No.
Can she talk to you on the telephone? If you ring her up, can she talk to you?
Yes, she can.
So she can use the telephone?
Right,
I'm saying some people's work, some people's work is just using the telephone.
Yes, yeah, okay. So you put me to shame.
No. What I'm saying is, a lot of people.
I just feel so sorry for her because she works so hard.
Yeah.
And it's impossible for her to lose another 6 stone.
How's it impossible?
Well, because I think she's done enough and she's comfortable where she is. And surely, when she gets on those scales, this skin and flesh...
she has a choice. She can carry on as she can carry on as she is, with a lifestyle as she is, and she can pay to have the surgery, or she can lose the weight and someone will pay for it. We'll pay for her to have the surgery. So she does have a choice.
Yeah, she does. All right. Then.
All right. Cheers, Leslie.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
This is Bob.
Oh dear, lots to get hold of this morning, Chris. The war on the drinking straw. Now.
Absolutely, yeah. Now they're targeting restaurants. Restaurants say they're going to be cutting down on these straws.
I've never understood the point of the drinking straw. I mean, was tilting a glass that much work?
You have to pick the glass up and then tilt it into your mouth.
Yeah.
Using a straw is a lot more involved.
It seems to be, yeah.
Because very often when they go in the drink, they float up and you have to keep pushing it back down into the drink. And, it's just a hassle.
I've only ever spilled one drink in public in my life. And that was a drink that had a straw in it. I reached across the table to get something else, a salt or something, I can't remember what. And because the straw was sticking out of the top of the thing, it knocked it over.
That's what happens.
Yeah, I'm with this... I'm with this campaign to reduce them.
100,000 straws a month is what just one chain's using.
I know, but once again, they're having to go at the straw itself, not the material it's made from. The problem is the plastic. Because remember, we used to have paper drinking straws. Where have they gone?
That's right. They were big in the 80s.
Yeah.
I seem to remember. But interestingly, this chain, Oakman Inns, is saying that they won't be serving up straws voluntarily.
Yeah.
But if someone asks for them, they'll give them an environmentally friendly version.
They will. They'll give them... Because the paper straw was an interesting thing, because if you were a kid and you sucked on it too long, it got soggy and stopped working, and my dad would lean over and he'd rip the top off the straw so you could start again with a fresh bit there. Yeah, so that's interesting. And who was your spokesman from the NHS?
Oh, well,
Spokeslady.
This is somebody from the Campaign for Better Hospital Food.
Yeah, okay. Now, once again... Another reason why you're fat, and it isn't you. I'm sorry, if you're fat, it's you. But we found out that it was, let's see if I can keep up here. It's because of advertising, because there isn't a tax on soft drinks, because of 2-for-1 deals, because of supermarkets, because your doctor's fat was one of them. If you're fat, it's got nothing to do with you. Well, look, it has, okay? And now that you're fat because... they sell fizzy drinks in hospital shops.
Yeah, they're blaming hospital shops
And
now.
she's saying what she wants is choice. What does she... Have you got the audio there?
Yeah, here we go. This is Catherine Button from the Campaign for Better Hospital Food.
Pushed my button, that's for sure.
We really believe patients should have choice, and that should be a choice that really promotes their health and well-being. At the moment, a choice of 5 different sorts of fizzy drinks, that's not really a choice. So we want patients to have the option of a real healthy beverage that means they can hydrate in a way that's healthy and promotes their well-being.
She's a liar. She's a liar. She's saying... well, if you want choice, then you actually should have the fizzy drinks there, the sugary drinks there, so you can choose one of those if you want one of those. That would be promoting choice, right? All of these shops sell water.
They do. All of them.
All of them. And some of them still and fizzy. In fact, there's all kinds of water. There's vitamin water, there's watered down cordial water, you know, that flavoured water, which is basically watered down cordial water.
Yeah.
They do have choice. She wants to take choice. She's dangerous. She wants to take choice away and claim she's giving you choice by doing that.
Well, they're targeting shops that have got outlets in hospitals, so the likes of WH Smith, Subway and Greggs. I have never, ever been into a WH Smith where there hasn't been vast quantities of bottled water.
Bottled water?
Bottled water of all sizes.
Yes!
You can get little bottles of water, massive bottles of water.
No, she is a dangerous individual and a control freak, and she must be stopped. Well, the world is facing a crisis, Chris. You brought
crisis?
Well, you brought us news that the modern male may know how to do stuff with a laptop, might know how to do stuff with a phone, might understand what a dongle is, but cannot change a light bulb. And in a time of crisis, cannot change a wheel or a fuse or do anything manly at all because of the rise of the girly man.
That's right. Yeah, they're saying things like changing light bulbs and bleeding radiators.
Bleeding radiators that are dying out. These are things that you need men for, and it's the women's fault. The women have been attracted to the girly man for years because he uses moisturiser. And they've been breeding with them and breeding more girly men. And eventually, ladies, you will have no men to help you out in a time of distress. There will be no more men. We'll all just become one homogenized generic sex. There'll be no difference between women and men. You need a difference.
You need your man to smell of man.
The smell of man. Be a man.
Smell of oil. Engine oil.
That's right. I know what swarfiga is and how important it is.
Absolutely.
Know the difference between engine oil and gear oil. You know, these are important things. Joe's on the phone. Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Graham. I just wanted to let you know that the Heaney clan is doing its best to keep the testosterone male alive.
Yes.
My father was an Irish Guard and went to war in Ireland.
Yes.
I was a firefighter for 14 years.
Firefighter, yes.
Yes, get in there. My eldest son is a roofer. My youngest son is currently studying in an apprenticeship to be a joiner and working on a building site. And all of my three boys are rugby players.
Joe, by breeding proper men, you might just save the human race.
I can only give it my best shot, Graham.
I appreciate you being there, Joe. Thank you very much for checking in.
Cheers, bud. Have a good day.
Ta-da, bye.
Turn your knob to Bob.
The actor Tom Hardy is a have-a-go hero. This happened in London at the weekend. He saw two teenagers on a motorbike run a red light, then crash into a Mercedes and then give it tows. He chased after them, ran through gardens and eventually caught them. So we're talking about have-a-go heroes. When have you been one or witnessed one? Ken?
Many, many years ago, I lived in Hertford, and I was walking home from the pub, and I saw an incident, a lad on the ground and two people attacking him.
Wow.
One was stabbing him, which I thought was a knife. The other one was hitting him with a baseball bat.
Goodness me, serious?
Seriously.
Yeah.
So I ran over there and shouted out, the police are on their way, the police are on their way.
Even though they weren't?
Even though they weren't.
Yeah.
This is long before days of mobile phones.
Yeah.
And the two chaps jumped in a car and drove off. I took the registration number, saw the lad was okay, phoned the police. And
had he been stabbed?
It was with a screwdriver. I thought it was a knife. It was a screwdriver.
But they stabbed him?
Yes.
Wow.
And hit him with a baseball bat.
Wow.
So the police came. The two people concerned were tracked and went to court.
Yeah.
But they were given very, very lenient sentences.
Oh, why?
Oh, well, I'll come to that. Anyway, went to court. I was told by the police I didn't have to turn up because, as a witness, because they'd agreed to plead guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I was given lenient sentences. Anyway, a couple of months later, I was coming home from football training, and lo and behold, I was attacked by these two blokes.
No.
So I defended myself with one, and the other one jumped in the car and they run off. Next thing, I was arrested for attacking them.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Anyway, to cut a long story short, what happened is that they got lenient sentences because they were grassing to the police.
Oh, were they? They were informers. Yeah.
But that's not the end of the story. They were parked up one night outside what was then Zero's nightclub in Hertford.
Yeah.
Young girl had a row with a boyfriend, came out, jumped in the car thinking it was a taxi.
Right.
They drove her off, raped her and burnt her with cigarettes. And they were eventually nicked.
And did they get a proper sentence in the end?
Yes.
But if only they'd locked them up in the first place.
Exactly. I reported to the police for intimidating a witness.
You what?
I reported them because they came after me.
Yeah.
Because I was a witness against them.
Yeah.
And I said, surely they're intimidating a witness.
Yeah.
Police didn't want to know because they wanted them out on the streets because they were grassing to the local police.
So do you know how long they got, Ken?
For the original attack, they got, I think it's 18 months suspended for 2 years.
Which means they didn't get locked up. This suspended sentence, it means nothing. Either lock them up or don't. You what?
The police wanted them on the streets.
Oh, but that's right, to keep the info coming, yeah. Yeah.
And when they got done, they eventually got done for the rape case.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they got. But I think if the police had investigated it first time,
Yeah.
I think, the young girl's life wouldn't have been ruined.
Exactly. I mean, police need grasses. They need informers. But if someone is clearly violent, then they need to be taken off the street. If someone is a violent offender, they need to be locked up. The thing with a violent offender is the violent offenders need to be warehoused. We need to warehouse the bad guys. That's how you'll make the streets safer. Not by letting the violent offenders walk the street just because they're grassing on other people. I mean, the violent ones is a whole different deal.
Well, the police turned a blind eye to it.
Unbelievable. Just because it makes the police work easier.
It was investigated by the Police Complaints Authority.
It was, yeah.
Via my MP at the time.
Yeah.
The police just hushed it up. They didn't want to know.
Well, that's the police for you. We got too many. I mean, most coppers are decent blokes. And I feel sorry for them because they know who the villains are, but they can't get them locked up. But you've just got these few bad eggs in the police force that give all the decent coppers a bad name.
Exactly.
And they really need to weed them out, but they seem to do the opposite. They're like the Catholic Church. They just try to cover up the problems rather than try and say, no, we want to run a better police service and we're only going to do that by weeding out these bad people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they get, the public feel bad about the police then.
Yeah, when really, and it isn't even most of the police that are like this. You'd think that the police, to protect their own reputation, would want to weed out the scumbags. But no, they seem to protect each other regardless of whether they're good coppers or not. I don't know. Hey, Ken, thank you very much.
Take care, Graham.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bob's Breakfast.
I think I've worked out how to save the planet. We keep hearing about how fossil fuels are bad for the environment and how they're eventually going to run out anyway. So there's no future in that. As long as we generate electricity from renewable sources, the answer has to be electric cars. Now, I've been thinking about this lately. The new Mackmobile is a hybrid. It's petrol and electric. So I'm kind of halfway there. But I have been wondering about, why not go all the way? Why not go all electric? And so last night, I woke up in the middle of the night with the answer. Electric cars haven't caught on yet. And the reason most people give for not buying them is electric cars don't have the range. Well, range isn't really the issue. Some Tesla models can go for 300 miles on a single charge. The real problem is the time it takes to charge them up. It takes hours. If your battery goes flat and you're not at your final destination, you're knackered. If there's nowhere to charge it up when you get there, you can't get home. I can't get a fully electric car because I live in a block of flats with nowhere to charge it. I can't plug it in at work. And if there was somewhere to charge it between home and work, I'd have to add a few hours to my commute while I waited for it to charge up. The answer is pretty simple. Removable batteries. If you had an electric car with, let's say, 4 removable batteries, each one powerful enough to run the car's motor individually for, say, 100 miles. Have it set up so the car uses one battery until it's dead, and then it switches to the next one. When you stop at a charging station, all you have to do is take out the dead batteries and replace them with fully charged ones. That way, you'd be able to refuel an electric car in just a few minutes, probably quicker than you could fill up a petrol car. The dead batteries could then be charged at the charging station. And when they're fully charged, they'd be ready to be exchanged for dead ones from the next electric car driver. Stick a wind turbine and solar cells at the charging station, and the electricity to charge the batteries would be generated without harming the environment or taking resources from the national grid. So, electric cars are the future. But not until we make them so that you can take the batteries out. Chris Hubbard. Couple of ex-prime ministers not too happy about Brexit.
No. First we had Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Just the other day, he did his big grandstanding speech.
Yeah.
Now, John Major comes out of the woodwork.
Do you want to start with Tony Blair or John Major? I've got audio from both.
Let's start with Tony Blair.
Okay. So last week, former Prime Minister Tony Blair had this to say about Brexit.
The people voted without knowledge of the terms of Brexit. As these terms become clear, it is their right to change their mind. Our mission is to persuade them to do so.
He's saying we should basically revolt against the vote.
Yeah, he's saying stand up against it.
Now, John Major has said this.
8 months ago, a majority of voters opted to leave the European Union. I believed then, as I do now, that was an historic mistake. But it was one once asked that the British nation had every right to make. The government can't ignore that decision and must now shape a new future for our country. Some changes may be beneficial, others may not. A hard Brexit, which is where we appear to be heading, is high risk. Some will gain, others will lose. Many outcomes are going to be very different from present expectations. We'll find, to take but one example, that for all the social pressure for immigration control, economically, we will need the skills of immigrants.
Two former prime ministers are saying Brexit's a bad idea. Now, a lot of people who voted for Brexit voted for good things. They wanted good things for Britain. They didn't want bad things for Britain.
No.
They wanted bananas of any shape, and they wanted £350 million a week to go to the NHS. What's not to like? Interesting shaped bananas, money for the NHS.
Absolutely.
What's not to like? Who wouldn't vote for that?
Yeah.
Turns out the Brexit vote was all about immigration, because we are continually told that immigrants are stealing British jobs. Even though the unemployment figures that came out just after Brexit, at a time when we had the highest immigration in our nation's history, showed the unemployment figures at an 11-year low. But people have changed. People used to take facts and then use those facts to form a belief. Now people form a belief and then look for facts to back it up. And if they see facts that are to the contrary, they just ignore those facts. So we're in a different world. I'm thinking, though, why are we so down on immigrants? Why do we discriminate against immigrants? When someone uses the phrase, they're taking jobs that could be given to British people, well, that's discrimination. That's discriminating against the immigrants and giving some kind of favouritism to people who were born here. Why is that? Why does someone who leaves their own country and makes the effort to come here and learn our language and then work in jobs that we don't want to do at hours that we don't want to work and in multiple jobs, why are they the people that we don't want to give the jobs to? And why instead do we favour the people who are only here as an accident of birth, who had no control on how they got here? Shouldn't it be the other way round? Shouldn't we favour the immigrants and discriminate against the people who did nothing to get here? Why isn't that the way it is?
It's an interesting point.
You look at the nations where immigration has been incredibly successful. I lived for a long time in Australia. Fabulous country. Fabulous. Not been so great for the Aborigines. They didn't even get the vote till 1973. The indigenous people there were discriminated against, and it built a massive nation. Now, whether that's morally right or wrong is another issue, but it was the immigrants that were given the favoritism that built an amazing nation. Same thing happened in the United States. The North American Red Indians had a terrible time, and it was the immigrants that got the favoritism and the breaks and built an amazing nation, the most powerful on earth. What's happened to the indigenous population of America? Well, they were placed on reservations. Maybe we should do that here. Maybe the indigenous people of Britain should be placed on reservations. You know, the native tribes, the Geordies, the Macks, the Brummies. These different tribes could have their own reservation, and we could just let the immigrants get on and build a better nation. Now, it's not all bad news for the Native Americans. The Native Americans now run fabulously successful casinos because their reservations have tribal sovereignty. The states have limited ability to forbid gambling there. They have an Indian Gaming Regulatory Act of 1988, and it's been successful. As of 2011, there were 460 gambling operations run by 240 tribes with a total annual revenue of $27 billion US.
Wow.
Wouldn't we as the indigenous people of Britain want that kind of money coming in? If they put us on reservations and we built these massive casino complexes, not only could we make loads of money, but imagine the jobs we'd create. And a lot of those jobs in hospitality industries, bar work, and hotels, and cleaners. Imagine the jobs that would create for even more immigrants.
Listen to Bob on your phone. Download the app now.
I'm Graham Mack, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, make sure you share it on Facebook and Twitter, and you can subscribe at iTunes. Britain is going to take back control. That's what the politicians are telling us about Brexit. Article 50, the formal process of leaving the European Union, has been triggered. 20,000 pieces of EU law will now be copied into the UK statute books. Then, thousands of those laws need to be corrected so that they can work properly. The logistical challenge is immense, and the cost will be astronomical. We're talking about everything here from medicines to banking, and the British public won't get a say on any of it. The only winners here are the politicians. These power-hungry megalomaniacs will get even more of what they crave: power. Without the EU keeping an eye on them, British politicians will become drunk with power. We keep hearing this phrase, taking back control, as if it's us, the British people, that will get to decide for ourselves how things run from now on. The truth is, we won't get more control over anything. The politicians will still make all of the important decisions. But now they won't have to answer to anyone. And what about the EU? They're still going to represent our biggest trading partners. Britain won't get a say on how trade deals are regulated. And given the choice, do you really think the EU will make regulations that suit us or their paying members? And if they don't want other member states to leave, do you think they'll make things better for a Brexited Britain? Or do you think they'll just try to ruin us as a warning to the others? What we have here now is not control. The Brexiteer politicians are selling us an illusion of control, so that they can satisfy their hunger for even more power. And we've just given it to them. Scotland want independence now, and we don't know what problems a hard border with the Republic of Ireland are going to cause. What we have here is not control, it's chaos.
Bob's Breakfast.